Hey, how's it going, everybody? Wanted to give a weekend recap for week 5 of the Innovation and Open Source Learning class. I really need to stop doing these from my car. I don't know, it's so convenient, but I also realized it's very distracting for anybody that might be viewing this. But hey, it's what I got right now. I don't have a studio yet. Anyway, back to it. So this was a very different week. Really leading up to this week, pretty much every day had been a lot of discussion, a lot of us talking, them listening, them sharing sparingly. It wasn't really a lot of participation by the students. We did some hands-on activities, some group work, some brainstorming. But this week was the first opportunity they really had to get their ideas for their projects and get them on paper. I'd like to think that some of the work that went into the first 4 weeks of class really helped them get to this point. Some of them came in with ideas. Some of the ideas are literally evolving as we speak. But this was the opportunity for them to actually put down a proposal. This is what I want to do, why I want to do it. This is why I'm passionate about it. These are the skills I'm going to learn, and this is how it's going to help other people. These are the other people that I'm going to need to involve in this project. These are the steps that I will take, and this is how long I think it will take me. And I guess I underestimated how difficult that was going to be for them. I shouldn't have been surprised by it, but I was. Some students did fine, but the majority of them really struggled with this. And I think that really speaks to what we've asked them to do up to this point. In many situations, they've been told information, and then they've regurgitated the information in some form, whether on a project or a presentation or on a test. So to actually have them dig deep and try to prioritize, to have them think of all the steps required to complete this project, articulate what the project actually is, that was really hard for some students. And when I gave them feedback, a lot of them struggled with it. They didn't know what to do with it. I thought it was pretty clear. Here's what needs to be improved for this proposal. Please revise it and resubmit. But it was like crickets. I didn't get the resubmissions. So I kind of made some whole class announcements about that. Like, this is the process. I've given you feedback, resubmit it, because until you have an approved proposal, you won't be able to start on your project. It's not about a grade, it's about meeting these requirements and learning how to make a professional presentation or professional proposal. But then I learned that that particular message really needs to be relayed on a very personal level. Some students did it out of apathy, didn't care. Other students didn't do it because they were resentful. How dare you tell me my work isn't great? And then others were just ambiguous. They didn't know really what they were supposed to do. So even though I tried to make the feedback as personal as possible online, I've learned that I need to do an even better job of connecting with the students so that the feedback is truly meaningful. So that's really what we did today. So they had 2 days that they worked on that this week, their proposals, and then they had to come up with a proposed point value, how many points they think it's worth based on a rubric that we have. Once they've gotten an approved proposal, they need to actually use a planning tool to prioritize. These are the steps that, as far as what I know now, these are the things that need to be done. I'm leaving that sneeze on there, by the way, which I guess you know because you were watching this. Anyway, we used a tool called Microsoft Planner. It's part of the Office 365 suite. The reason we chose that is because it's something all the students have access to. It's something that they can invite me to be a member of their team so that I can see their progress. We can see what their deadlines they're setting for themselves are. We can see what their progress is. So I'm not necessarily in love with the tool, but the tool is functional. And I requiring all of the students to try to use that tool for this first project. After that, it's up to them what they use, what method they use. We might find that this is a wonderful tool and they'll want to use it, and we'll want them to keep using it, but I just wanted to try it. Ultimately, I want them to take ownership over the tasks that need to be done, and they're not going to be done for you. You have to do them. And if you're counting on other people because they're part of your team, or they're a stakeholder, or they play an integral part in your project, you need to be assertive and make sure they know what's expected. We're not doing it for them. So that's really the next step. After the proposal is completed, they're going to come up with a project timeline. Monday, Tuesday of next week, we're going to still go with a 2-day-a-week project model for at least the next 2 weeks. Monday, Tuesday next week, we're going to talk about really the life cycle of a project, because right now we're just in it. They don't really know the life cycle of it. We could have done the life cycle before we started on this, but our theory is it's going to be more meaningful because they've got skin in the game now. They have something they can actually compare it to. This is where I am in the cycle, and this is where I'm going to go next. So it's not going to be overly stimulating Monday and Tuesday, but we want to make it meaningful and authentic. So that's what those 2 days are about. And then Wednesday and Thursday, hopefully their proposals have been submitted, resubmitted, and approved, and they have or will be working on their project timeline. These are the things that need to be done. These are the dates they need to be done by. These are the people that I need help with to get it done. Once those hurdles have been cleared, they are going to start. They're going to start doing the things that they have outlined, and they're going to discover a lot more, uncover a lot more as they start on the project. So next week will be interesting. Really think that we'll see some tremendous growth, and I need to focus on all aspects of what's going on in the class. If you just focus on the 2 or 3 that get it and are thriving and are taking off, and you're kind of setting that as the example of how the class is going, you're fooling yourself. If you look at the 3 students that aren't getting it yet, they're dragging their feet, they're not on the surface, look like they're applying themselves, they're not meeting the expectations of what you've set for the class. You can't judge the class by their performance because that's not fair. It's not an accurate representation. I have to really, we have to judge the success of this class by the middle. Keeps you grounded, keeps you leveled. You celebrate the high flyers. You're motivated by the low achievers. But really, the growth of the middle is going to really tell you how we're doing as a class, not how I'm doing, even though it's a reflection on how I'm doing. Because really, my role and the other teacher's role is to facilitate. Give the students what they need. Give the students access to what they need without giving it to them. By that I mean, teach them how to connect to people. Don't connect for them. But every student's at a different spot. So we have to really be reflective and responsive to what that student needs and provide it. I use an analogy that I'm sure other people have. I certainly didn't invent it. Maybe I did. I don't know. But we need to be a life preserver for students, not a life jacket. So if you think about it, what is a life jacket? A jacket goes on a person. They know that no matter what happens, as long as they have that jacket on, they're not going to sink. So that's why they boat, they water ski, they tube, they swim. Whatever they do, they're wearing a life jacket. So it's really a zero risk or little risk environment. So sometimes we'll be careless. They'll do things they might not normally do. but they also aren't as invested in what it is they're doing because they know that no matter what happens, they're safe. I want our class to be a life preserver. I want to be a life preserver. What that means is my students are getting in the water with nothing, trying to swim, trying to float, trying to water ski, trying to inner tube, whatever it is they're trying to do. Then when they get into trouble, we're there to throw them the life ring or the life preserver. There's a difference. We want them to approach these projects and these aspirations and these ideas knowing that there's some risk involved, but we want that to fuel them, not deter them. So I've still got some kinks to iron out on that analogy, but I want students to really try, and then when they need help, that's when we jump in. And that help does not mean doing it for them. That help might mean directing them to somebody else that can help them, or directing them to something within themselves that can help them. Big difference. Our students, not just our students, but students nationwide, have for the most part been brought up in a culture where they've been wearing a life jacket. Very safe. Tell me what you want to know and I'll do it for you. Tell me what you want me to do and I'll do it for you. There's no risk in that. But now, when they're given time and opportunity to figure out what it is that they want to do, that's the scary part. But we want them to go in without that life jacket on. They may not need a life preserver, but if they do, we're there. So that's the weekend recap of week 5. Very excited to be able to share details about the work that the students are doing, the growth that they're making. This particular channel is really about me reflecting on my experiences. And yes, I've told some anecdotes, shared some anecdotes about students and things, but this channel is about me. Starting within the next week or two, the RHS Innovation YouTube channel will be live, and you'll be hearing from students. We'll be showing student work. We'll be interviewing students, and you'll get a really in-depth, personal look at the work that they are doing. This channel is about the work that I and we are doing as the teachers. This is more for me, and if you're watching this, thank you. Hopefully there's something in this episode or others that have inspired you or made you think about things a little bit differently. If you've stumbled across this, if you have questions, suggestions, comments, please put a comment in the video or in the comments below. I'll also try to start providing contact information. I'd love to hear from you. I certainly don't know a fraction of what I really need to know to effectively teach this class, but I've learned a lot in the first 5 weeks, and expect nothing but even more growth. Especially as I start learning the intricacies from the students of what they're working through, whether it's starting a nonprofit, whether it's starting a for-profit, whether it's organizing an event, whether it's contacting high-profile influencers. I'm going to learn from them. So that's a pretty awesome thing to look forward to. So hope you guys have a great weekend, and we will talk to you soon. Stay tuned.